Welcome to the Lafaya Way Podcast, the podcast for people who refuse to fold in the face of adversity. Whether you're navigating personal challenges or professional obstacles, this show is a reminder that you have the power to play to win. Hello. I'm so glad you joined me again. I am really happy to have here with me my friend, Miss Betsy. We're going to jump into our conversation, of course, because I know you guys don't have all day. And so we'll just start out with having Betsy give a little introduction of herself. So Betsy, tell everybody a little bit about you.
Well, first I want to say thank you so much, Lafaya, for having me on your show. I'm so honored. I just love you, what you do. Yes, I'm Betsy Wurzel. My Wurzel is my maiden name. Sloan is my married name. And I am creator and founder of the support group hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement on Facebook.
Wait. Let me make sure we got this right. It's hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Facebook group. Is that right?
Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement. Yeah.
Alzheimer's ass. I have to get that right. I'll kick Alzheimer's ass. I like it. That's my favorite. That's my favorite cuss words. I love. No, look it up. I'm kidding. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
And people say, why did you name it that, Betsy? And I said, well, either Alzheimer's was going to kick my butt or I was going to kick its butt.
That's right.
And I'm a fighter. So, and I felt that no one should ever walk this journey alone, like I had to for so many years. And I'm also podcast host of Chatting with Betsy, Pastoral Talk Network, which is heard on Spotify, Spreaker, iHeart, Amazon Music, to name a few. And I just made number 17 on the Feed Spot top 70 caregiver podcast list. So I'm excited. Right. And I'm a mom. I'm still a caregiver. I'm mom to my wonderful son, Josh, who has a cognitive disability, who's such a blessing. He was so great with his dad. And I am very grateful to be alive.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so just a little bit of backstory for those out there who don't know you. Now, when you talk about your son's dad, now he is he the one who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's?
Yes.
Okay. And that kind of leads into our conversation today because you were going to talk a little bit about playing the hand you're dealt in, when you're dealt that hand with a situation with someone who you have to caretake for, right? Yeah. So if you don't mind, I mean, I guess I'll do it the signature way, right? So tell everybody about the situation that you want to share about playing a hand that you were dealt and learning how to do that in a way that just becomes so special, becomes a more of a gifting, right? And you turn those lemons into lemonade. Tell your story, Betsy.
Sure. I might get a little emotional. I just want to show my husband's picture. That's my husband, Matt.
Oh, he's handsome.
When he was, with the Alzheimer's. First, my mother-in-law was diagnosed.
Oh my goodness.
2000, and we lived with her. I say my mother-in-law took me to Alzheimer's school because I didn't know anything about Alzheimer's. There's no information out there, not much support, right? There wasn't the internet back then. There wasn't Facebook. There wasn't anything.
Right.
And as a nurse, I never even heard the word Alzheimer's.
Wow.
It was called different things in the 70s because I'm from the Stone Age, Lafaya.
Hey, the 70s is not the Stone Age. I was born in the 70s. The 70s were good years.
So I'm 60. I'm 67 now, and thank God for that. And then my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I didn't live with him. And then my husband, Matt, in 2010, was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. 15 years ago, there wasn't the information that there is today.
Oh, wow.
We were told, no, he's too young. Yes, you can have it young. That's a myth. It's not an old person's disease.
How old was he?
He was 55.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
He was 55. My husband handled it with more grace than I did at the time. My husband's attitude was, I don't like it, but this is God's plan for me.
Okay.
And I was like so stunned. I knew something was wrong with Matt because of signs he was showing. And I had a fight to get a diagnosis. You have to be your own advocate. I just want to tell your audience, be your own advocate, educate yourself. I can't say it enough. An educated caregiver, it makes your journey and your loved one's journey so much easier. I know that firsthand. I didn't have the information with my mother-in-law. What a difference with Matt to know
Wow.
what to do. I didn't handle it well at first, Lafaya. That's 15 years ago. And, you know, I learned eventually to accept. You have to accept the hand you're dealt with, whether you like it or not.
So Betsy, would you say, because there's this, I kind of like to walk people through like the process of grieving, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes people don't always understand that when you're kind of handed a situation that is just so unexpected, right? Out of your control, and it's something that is completely and totally against what your ideal situation would be, then sometimes grief, or most of the time, grief really does set in, and it becomes very, very important to recognize like the steps that are within that grieving process, and which all lead up to that acceptance piece. But can you
Yeah.
talk to the audience a little bit about like when you were in that place where you weren't like quite accepting the situation, like what kind of things did you go through?
I went through turmoil, all over. I was resentful.
Yes.
Um, really, I mean, like, how could this happen? Why?
Right.
Matt's only 55.
Right.
There's no golden years now. When is Matt
Yes.
going to die? This is what I was thinking. Okay, when's Matt going to die? How am I going to handle it when he does die? How am I going to handle watching him die, deteriorate? Folks, take my advice and don't worry about that.
Right.
Just live each day. And I finally learned from my friend Marcia, live in a happy place
Yes.
and find your happiness. Go out and enjoy yourself. Don't sit there and wait to die. Live your life to the fullest. And everyone should do that.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Oh my goodness. That is so important. That's so key to when you are dealt a hand, an unexpectedly terrible hand, or again, a progression of unexpectedly terrible hands. The best thing you can do is to find your way to live in that moment, to live in right that thankful place, that as much happiness as you can bring to that moment, continue to continue to come back to where do I want to be? I don't want to be thinking about right what's going to happen, what's going to happen when he dies, or when, or when this thing goes awry. You want to put energy into your happiness, because that's truly what we're seeking, right?
yes. And you really learn your priorities, Lafaya, what's important, what's not important.
Yes, yes,
A terminal illness will set your priorities straight real quick. And
yes,
you choose your battles of what's important, what's not. What I learned is I used to be so organized. And with Alzheimer's, you can be organized, but you got to go with the flow. You got to
yes.
learn to be like water. You got to learn to be flexible. And I learned that.
Wow.
So when guests tell me, oh, I had to cancel because my so and so is sick, I'm like, don't worry about it. We can reschedule. I know what it's
Yes,
like to be a caregiver, you
yes,
know?
yes,
And they'll say, oh, Betsy, thank you for being so understanding. Well, what are you going to do? You
yes.
can't plan every minute of your life. And we
Cannot.
think, let's say we think we're in control. We're not in control.
All
The only
right.
constant is change, folks.
Yes, tell it, tell it. All right, everybody, you heard that, right? She said we are not. When we think we're in control, might as well forget about that because there are going to come those moments in life where we are completely and totally not in control of what's happening in that moment. And the only thing that we can control is our attitude about it. Is what are
Yes,
we going to do about it, right? And choosing and making a choice because there's a book out there titled "Happiness is a Choice." Right? We have to make the choice to be happy and then pursue that in the next things that we do. So with Matt, what were you able to do to help yourself stay in that better space once you moved into acceptance?
well, I went through a lot. I was almost on the verge of a nervous breakdown, to be honest,
I bet.
because I thought I had to be, superwoman. Let's have my cape on, take it. And I found out that only led me to be ready to snap. I was working at a daycare at the time, snapping at the kids. Didn't even realize it.
Wow.
And they cut my hours down because at that time I was working 40 hours. They knew I was about to ready to lose it, I guess. I went for therapy. And I know, Lafaya, you are a therapist, right?
Yes.
I'm telling you, I'm a mental health care advocate. I've been for many, many years. You can't do this alone. Go for help, go for support. It is not weakness. It's
Yes.
not weakness, it's strength to say, I need help. And I still go for counseling. I'm not ashamed to say it. I see a psychologist once a week. I
Yes.
need counseling.
So one thing that you did for yourself, one piece of your self-care was to make sure that you built up your support system, and one of those supports was your seeing a therapist. That's fantastic. What were some of a couple of the other things that you did that helped you through these moments?
I joined 2014. I joined Facebook, a lot of support groups, and I was like, "Wow, I'm not alone. I'm not alone." And some of the support groups were underground, private, because people didn't want their relatives to know how they really felt about caregiving.
Hmm.
And caregiving has its rewards, but it also can suck at times. Let's face
Yes.
it. I don't
Yes.
sugar say I tell it like it is. I'm a Jersey girl.
Oh, I love that. I love you to pieces. I love it. I love to shoot them straight. I love the
Yeah.
name of your Facebook group because that shoots it straight. And anybody that doesn't like it, they're just not a part of your tribe, right? That's okay. Let them go where they go.
And it's true. And just it's hard, it's really hard to get that balance of if I took time for myself, I felt guilty. I wasn't with Matt, especially at the end. But you
Right.
need to recharge. You need to take care of yourself. If you're a caregiver, you need to take care of yourself because the mortality rate among caregivers, let's say, is 63%.
Wow.
It's higher the older you are if you're taking care of a spouse.
Wow.
If you want to enjoy life during and after caregiving, you have to take care of yourself. I
Yeah.
say that that self care is not selfish. It's a matter of your life and death. That's
That's,
how serious it is. And I'll
yes.
tell you like it is. And I just thank God I am sitting upright and I'm pretty healthy. I have some issues, nothing terrible, and I give God the glory. I'm a believer, so I give God the glory
That's
because
right. That's right.
um,
So I'm hearing a little bit in there about, keep your faith too. If that you have that place of strength to use, do not shy away from, do not shun, do not push yourself away from whatever support system you have. Because
yep.
when you're in a role of caregiving, that's when you're going to need it even more than ever, right? So let's think about the let's talk about some of the alternative, right? Some of the alternatives are to to be in the situation that you're in, to kind of bitch and moan, sorry about it. Anybody, I'm sorry. Anybody that knows me, I'm gonna say some cuss words occasionally, right? But you can sit there and you can, moan and hem and ha, right? And none of that is going to make your situation better, right? And some people might say, oh, well, what's the point of being happy? That won't change my situation. Well, I would beg to differ, because as Miss Betsy just shared with us, right, 63% of caregivers end up dying themselves, right? They end up sickly or dying themselves. Now, that's a huge number. So it's really, really important to understand that some of the factors behind that have a lot to do with that mental piece, right? We have to learn how to master this mental game in this life and understand what it means to do that, right? Because it not only impacts our psychological health now, but it impacts our physical health and whether or not we're even here to have life. Right?
Absolutely. Say, if people, they think they have to be strong. You do not have to be strong. That's old school bull crap. I can't stand it when people say be strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's an insult to people. It's not helpful. Caregivers, you can't fix our situation. When our loved ones die, you can't fix it. We just want someone to listen. Just
Mm-hmm.
listen.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't accept and validate and acknowledge our feelings. We just stuff them down,
Yes.
and come back. It's going to kick you right in your rear end.
Mm-hmm. They become sickness, right? Dis-ease becomes,
Yes.
disease, right? Dis-ease. So you keep shoving that stuff down, your body will account for it. It's holding it all. So, oh, that's so many fantastic, fantastic nuggets in what it is that you shared today. So I hope everybody, I hope you caught it, because Betsy is serving up some serious wisdom to everybody today. It's when you're a caregiver, remember to focus in on that self-care. So very important. I think that's probably number one. Make sure that you get your support system in line. That's very, very important. Okay. Understand that there's a process that you're going through when you're a caregiver, and it's the process of grief. And for those of you, I won't be going over all of that today because you might get bored, but look it up. Look up the process of grief, developed by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, right?
Mhm.
There's an acronym, DABDA, DABDA, right? And the end of that is acceptance, right? And that's what you want to try to pursue. That's what you want to get to, so that you can find your happy space. Without that, you're going to continue to stay depressed, sometimes in denial, very angry, because anger becomes a huge part of that, right? And so it's very, very important to learn how to go through the process, understand what process it is that you're going through, and take good care of yourself, right? Now, taking all of those concepts, everybody, because you guys know I like to add a little poker twist to everything, right? And applying that to poker, think about what it feels like when you're in those moments where it feels like you are just, no matter how much you study, right? No matter how much the GTO, the optimal strategy that you use, and even you make the right decisions, sometimes things that aren't lovely are going to happen. Sometimes you're going to be dealt hands that make you feel handcuffed at times. And but of course, learning more strategic ways to play can also kind of combat some of that. But when you get into those moments, don't fall into the him and hawing. Don't fall into the negative energy. Don't fall in, because you just kind of fall, when you fall into that pit, you just keep falling, right? And just remember that you kind of get to a place to where you have to accept what place you're in. Right now, form a new strategy. Okay, so how am I going to combat this situation where clearly I have a bad seat and I'm being dealt every bad hand, right? You can start to do things like self-care. Sometimes that means, before you even go play, by the way, being proactive in self-care, make sure that you're eating the way that you need to. Make sure you're being wise about how much sleep you're getting. That's also in the self-care arena. Make sure that you are taking walks when you need to, when you have some of those tough moments and you need a break, right? Don't wait to go to the bathroom when you have to go. When you're having, a series of poor hands anyway, you might as well take a break. Maybe if you take a break for a minute, when you come back, maybe things will look a little better. Who knows, right? But this all applies. Like, I love taking the concepts in life and applying them to the things that you deal with, right? The controversy you deal with when you play poker. Just one tournament will take you through so many ups and downs. It's like living many years of life itself in one tournament.
Mhm.
So so yes. So guys, just like keep in mind that like these concepts they parallel. So there's so much parallel within the concepts. But okay. So now I'm done. I'm off my soapbox, right? All my preachy part's over. Now I want to ask you, in some of those moments where like emotions did get high, right? And and you kind of felt like really snapping, right? What would you do in some of those tough moments to tame your tilt? Okay, that tilt moment. By tilt, I mean temporary interruption in logical thinking. So you are so caught up in your emotions that now, kind of logic is out the window and you more feel like you could just, if you could just, jump on somebody, you would, right? And so to combat that, what strategies do you did you and do you continue to use?
What I did, Lafaya, and this might sound a little cuckoo to some people, but, I used to sit in the bathtub and listen to music.
Okay.
And I like John Denver. He's one of my favorites. And I would visualize being in the Smoky Mountains or being on the beach, smelling salt water, or listening to birds sing and deep breathe. That was my go-to then. Now what I do is I do the breathing exercise.
Oh,
That what's it called? Shadow breathing. Like I breathe in, hold it for I don't know 5 to 7 breaths, and then breathe out 5 to 7, and wait, and then do it. And I find that really helps me.
okay, so
Now,
now you call that shadow breathing?
right, that's what I call it.
Okay,
Shadow.
shadow breathing is inhale, 5 count, exhale, 5 count, and then start over again. Okay, okay.
Um, that helps. And then I'm the type, and I've always been this way, to take the bull by the horns. Whatever problem, I don't deny it. I like to attack it. You want to play with me? Let's play.
Oh, I like it. My kind of girl.
That's I just and I've always done that. Like when I thought Josh was having a problem, like he was delayed, I noticed it. I knew, yet people were judging me and saying, "Oh, you're looking for trouble." No, I wasn't looking for trouble. I realized there was something amiss. Didn't mean I
Mm,
didn't love Josh. I do love him. That's why I want him to have the services, the care that he
right.
should have.
Okay, so
Um,
so just 1 second. Can you tell
sure.
the audience a little bit about Josh? I know you're talking about your son. But tell them a little bit about what some of his struggles are.
Josh was delayed as a baby and a toddler, and I knew something was amiss. He didn't the way he would look like he's not there. And come to find out, and it wasn't until the age of 13, and even though I took him to a neurologist and they misdiagnosed him,
Of course.
he had what's it called, pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified,
Mm-hmm.
and he has with processing.
Oh,
Understanding.
PDD-NOS. Okay,
Yes, yes.
they actually got rid of that diagnosis some years ago. Yes, yes.
Wow.
They did a disservice though, because there are those that don't quite meet right the diagnosis for autism and don't quite meet the diagnosis for sometimes like some of the mood disorders, and they're somewhere in the
Yeah.
middle, and there's like no truly good diagnosis for them. I feel anymore that I found. I used to love the PDD-NOS because it fit right there with those in betweeners. That's why the diagnosis was so hard to get to because he didn't quite fit into the other boxes. But
Yeah.
anyway, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's all right because that my son will be 41 next month. So,
Mm.
things change.
Yes.
And I took him to the top neurologist in my area. And my the first pediatrician told me that I was overprotective mother and Josh was just lazy. Of
Oh,
course, blame the mother.
of course. Or the child, right? Or blame them like they because they don't know how to do their jobs. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I, worked with Josh a lot. And let's say he is such a blessing to me. He was so good with his dad. Josh understood more about Alzheimer's than so-called intelligent people.
The experts.
Let me share a cute story. This is so cute. One time, someone in church said to Josh, "Josh, I'd call your dad up, but he doesn't know who I am." And Josh said, "Well, Brother Bill, it's not rocket science. You call up, you say, 'Hi, Brother Matt. This is Brother Bill. I'm from Central Baptist Church. How are you today?'"
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to do.
That's
Now
all you have to do. Treat them like a human.
there you go. Right out of the mouth of babes.
That's right. Sounds okay. So I like him already. Okay, so for you, when you run into tough situations, it's a part of your personality because you're kind of a go-getter, right? And you just take the bull by the horn. So you're like, I'm going to advocate for whatever it is that I need, right? I'm going to learn as much as you said before, I'm going to learn as much as I can, so that those who are out there that are supposed to be the experts, if I don't believe what it is they're saying to me, I'm going to, make sure I'm getting that second, third opinion and knowing some things myself, right? Big part of caregiving, by the way. Do not just accept. If you know better often than a lot of the people out there. Now, I'm not saying that the experts aren't, they don't have their place. Like, I'm not saying they don't have their place, and maybe some are better than others, though. But not every person is made the same. And you typically, as the caregiver, knows the person it is that you're giving the care for better than anyone else. So first and foremost, if you're talking to someone who does not have any respect for that, I would highly recommend that you go and maybe seek out a second opinion, because I think that's been a big part of my success as a therapist over the years. And I work with children. Well, I've mostly specialized with children on the autism spectrum, but then I more kind of went into working with those who I would call hypersensitive. So they would have some atypical traits that aren't, they don't quite meet the diagnosis for autism, but they have a lot of traits like some of the sensitivities and all of that that can kind of come close. And so with the work that I do, I always take into consideration what the parents have to say. I always listen to them first because I know that they're the experts. They may not know what to do in certain situations, but they know what's going on with their children much more than anybody else can say, right? So,
Like
yeah.
Lafaya, that I love that. That's so true. We know
Yes.
our children, we know our loved ones, and let me tell you, I mean, I won't spend a lot of time. I had to fight for Matt from diagnosis to getting end of life care.
Mhm.
And I'm not afraid to cause waves. My mother, she'd be like, "Betsy, be a good girl, be quiet." No, I will cause a tsunami.
Yes. Don't be afraid to stir up waves. It is so very important. Now I'm not saying do this in poker, guys. Now this is separate. But when it comes to caregiving, for the best caregiving, don't be afraid to ask questions and don't be afraid to make waves. Very important for the person that it is you're taking care of to get the best care possible.
Absolutely. I've had to put the hospice social worker in her place. And I, you know, complained. They thought they were dealing with the meek, quiet housewife. Well, I showed them who they were dealing with.
I know that. See, I'm high five and look, high five virtual. But okay, when you talk about dealing with some of some of the moments, some of the tilt moments, some of the moments when like things are kind of hit you unexpected, it's like, what, you're supposed to be the expert and this is what you're trying to bring to the table? No way, right? So basically learning how to stand your ground, right?
Yes.
And of course, we're appropriate with our correction, but correction is still necessary. So not losing sight of the fact that sometimes boundaries have to be set with certain people. Sometimes certain corrections need to be made, right? And so keeping those things in mind and applying those things can be extremely useful in helping you not want to go out and mass murder few people in some of those emotional moments, right? And so, but yes, in some of those emotional moments. But that helps to tame the tilt to kind of just really advocate advocacy and the person you're caregiving for advocacy. What else you talked about the breathing, that inhale for 5, that shadow breathing, exhale for 5. Are there any other tips that you have? I almost forgot the visualization, the bath, and the meditation. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so you've already given us 3. You have anything else that is just like a tops, a best strategy that you've used to tame your tilt?
You know what, Lafaya, I don't know if you would consider this, but I think it's really important to have a purpose and a passion and a purpose,
Uh-huh.
and to live in the moment, to think ahead to the future. There's so many people who lose their spouses, they don't know what to do. And you have to find your passion, your purpose, and you don't get over losing someone, but you move forward. And
Oh,
I'm moving forward with Matt as my center because Matt was my catalyst. He's why I got my car to do my videos. It's how I got discovered, and he will always be my inspiration.
yes.
I,
Oh, oh my goodness. You find your passion and your purpose. That's huge. Okay. So this is right. This is like beyond any, breathing technique and, all those other things, relaxation of the muscles and all those things that we can do. When you know your passion and your purpose, you can, what I call, step 3 it, and make sure that you focus in on responding to things in alignment with your truest intentions. That is a huge piece when it comes to finding. Sometimes you have to find your calm to finding your calm, to step 1, finding your calm. So if you really want to be able to step 3 it, and you really want to be able to tame that tilt, it's very, very important to keep in mind what your core goals are, what your main purpose is, so that you can always steer yourself towards being in alignment with that. Okay. When you're in alignment with your core goals, this is the pathway to peace.
Mhm.
It's when we're out of alignment with who we truly want to, mean to, are meant to be. That's when we're feeling disrupted and frustrated and agitated the most. So fantastic, Miss Betsy. I knew you were going to bring some wisdom. So that's why I was excited to talk with you. I was extremely excited to talk with you. And plus, you're just fun. So, because I can talk the way I talk with you. I'm more of a straight up kind of person, too. Now, I'm not from Jersey, but, I feel like I have some Jersey spirit in me.
Yes, you are. You do. You're like, I'm my father's daughter, definitely, because my mom was like that, but my dad was straight up. He'd tell you just like it is, and I'm the same way. Plus, I got the Jersey sass. So,
And the accent, which is actually really cool. All right. So, okay. So now, how do people find you? I know you gave a little bit at the beginning, but just give a quick little run over again. Where do they find you? How do they find you?
sure. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Betsy, the middle initial E, Wurzel, Wurzel. I'm on LinkedIn, Betsy Wurzel, and you can find my shows, Chatting with Betsy, on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music. You can find it there. And Pastoral Talk Radio Network.com.
All right.
Uh,
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bessie, for joining me today. And for
thank
all of you out there who made it to the end of this video and you're not too ADHD to have made it with us, congratulations. And there was so much wisdom packed in here. Make sure that you listen to it again because you don't want to miss out on any of this. I'm going to listen to it a bunch of times because I want to be able to kind of jot some of this stuff down myself because I know there are some things that are probably coming in my future, right? Because Alzheimer's does run in our family as
you.
well. So my grandmother, she passed away of Alzheimer's as well. So, but yeah, thank you all for joining us. You guys all have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember, it's not about the hand you're dealt. It's about how you play it. Have a good one.
All right, thank you.
Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And if you're interested in learning more about playing the hand you're dealt in this mental game of life, you'll love my book, Poker, A Woman's Game. To download your free chapter today, click on the link in our show notes or visit LafayaWayPoker.com. See you soon.